All right, my English teacher friends, Kristian Kuhn coming at you again, affectionately known as the Bob Ross of composition. And in this writing workshop video, we're going to take a look at what I call 5-minute thesis. So in my practice, I often use Oscar-nominated short films to practice writing introductory paragraphs for literary analysis. And in this one, I'm going to show you how I use the Barber Shop by Isaac Carlton. Now, I often do these as bell ringers, and I can get my students to crank an entire introductory paragraph, watch the film a couple of times, all in under 15 minutes. So let's jump right in and see how I go about doing this. Before I do, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's called Kristian Kuhn, the Bob Ross of composition. Sprinkle a little love, sprinkle a little like, tell your friends, your colleagues, and your students about my channel so that I can help beat that pesky algorithm and get my content out there to as many people as possible. So the film is called The Barber Shop. It's by Isaac Carlton, and you can find it on YouTube. And it's a quick one, as most of these Oscar-nominated shorts are. It's under 10 minutes long. So as always, as the Bob Ross of composition, I tell my teachers, you got to Bob Ross your instruction. So you're going to see student examples here from my particular students, and that took yeoman's work of me getting to the proverbial easel and canvas and painting, air quote, painting with them. I've shown them my own writing 1,000 times in order to get them to produce what you're going to see here. So don't be shy, don't be bashful. Get to that canvas, get to that easel, and paint with and for your students. Show them how to use this heuristic. So if we were to take any prompt, say from the AP language or the AP literature exam, I'm in New York State, if we were to take a look at any Regents exams that ask our students to perform literary analysis, the prompts are always rooted in two questions. The first is, what is the author's intent? And the second is, how does the author construct meaning? So you can go back all the way to the 1970s and validate that. Each prompt asks those questions implicitly. So what I have my students do for their introductory paragraphs is something called the inverted thesis heuristic. So the very first sentence out of the gate is going to be, what is the author's intent? And students are going to riff that for 3 sentences. The last sentence answers the question, how does the author construct meaning? Whenever you answer that question, that constitutes and comprises the thesis statement. So it's called a 3+1. 3 sentences go to author's intent and 1 sentence goes to construction of meaning. There's other things that I teach my students to do, and one is to augment their vocab. It is an academic paper, so I like to see tier 2 level vocabulary, and what I mean by that is just your average run-of-the-mill SAT level caliber words. Those that are familiar with my work know that in my classrooms I run something called a Word Study Academy and a Nuance Academy. And in the Nuance Academy, we thoroughly read Strunk and White's Write It Right. And in that manual, they have something called rule number 18, which espouses the idea that there's 12 sentence types, but you can pattern those types 20 different ways. So you're going to see my students wield some crafty sentences in here, because what I don't want them to do is to crank independent clause, short, simple declarative sentence, because that yields that ... rhythm in terms of their voice and their flow, and we don't want that. So here's example number 1. We're going to go 3+1. 3 sentences, author's intent, 1 sentence, construction of meaning. Not looking one's best, especially in the mind's eye, can be a horrific prospect for many. Chalk up a really bad hair day, and things even get more nightmarish. Physical appearance is often of paramount concern, which is why leaving one's fate to the hands of a barber is a terrifying ordeal. So we're 3 sentences in, and that encapsulates the universal truth, the universal theme, the exigence of the piece. The last sentence, I always tell my students, hit me with the most salient, the most germane terms, devices, techniques. So look at this last sentence here. It gets to the construction of meaning. Isaac Carlton explores this phenomena in his short film, The Barber Shop, through his overtly shy protagonist and a few hyperbolic twists of the horror genre. So you can see some terms, devices, techniques in that last sentence. And if you watch the film, you'll probably say, "Yup, Christian student, I agree with you. Those are the most important elements at play in the film." So 3 sentences go to universal truth, universal theme, exigence, author's intent. You want a lot of theme in there, context and background around the theme. And then the last sentence, you hit me with construction of meaning. Might be a little pie in the sky, a little nebulous, so let's paint one more. This is student sample number 2. I'll read it top to bottom and then we'll unpack it together. Getting a haircut from an unknown barber can elicit a quasi-existential crisis for some. Factor in shyness and an overactive imagination, and one can easily go down the rabbit hole of scheming up worst-case scenarios pretty quick. Above money, stability, even one's social standing, their physical appearance is of principal concern. So we're 3 sentences in. That gets to all the pithy exigence of the movie. Last sentence, construction of meaning. In his short film, The Barber Shop, Isaac Carlton touches upon these themes through a mock serious exploration of common horror genre motifs. So throughout the movie, even though it's short, it makes reference or alludes to the horror genre, certain motifs very often, even the music at some point in times. And some of the scenes come right out of, cliche horror movie genres. So this kid is spot on in that construction of meaning sentence. So this is why we call it inverted, because you end with the thesis. All right, let's see it one more time. The inverted thesis heuristic, 3 + 1. How one is perceived socially is at the base of a lot of human fear. Perhaps trite at face value, one's haircut and style are a driving force of this phenomenon. As such, the prospect of leaving one's fate to the shaky hands of an unknown barber can overwhelm a person who's already predisposed to an overactive imagination. In his short film, The Barbershop, Isaac Carlton explores these themes through a mock serious portrayal of common horror motifs. So you can see each student did the exact same thing with the heuristic. First 3 sentences, author's intent. Last sentence, construction of meaning. And that's how you wield the inverted thesis heuristic. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or just want to say hello, you can drop me an email at teachingwritingcoach@gmail.com. I have hundreds of these. I do this exercise all the time with my students. They love it when I bust out short films. So I'll make plenty more if this gets good feedback. And then also note that throughout the calendar year, I run a series of PD sessions where I go to schools or we hop on Zoom, where I train individual teachers, departments, do vertical alignment with departments. So if you're interested in that, you can visit my website at www.teachinghowtowrite.com and see what's available. And if you have questions or want to talk further about any of those availabilities, then feel free to give me an email. Also note that I have a self-paced course that teachers love to take. It's loaded with really good stuff. So that's all for here, and I will keep these coming in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead of us. Take care.